with you, we organize with you, we pray with you, we do so much work together. And just in this holiday season, which should be a joyful time of year,
Madam Vice
we just
President,
wanted to
I'm
have
going to
the
be
opportunity
Did you know that Bethlehem, they're not celebrating? Did you know that Bethlehem, baby Jesus is under rubble? Why did you vote for ceasefire?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about the tale of two campaigns, okay? One campaign, which is surging despite the political persecutions from the Democrat Party and the establishment. It seems as if we are seeing a great American comeback of the former president of the United States, and I'm talking about no other than President Donald J. Trump. And we have another campaign, the Biden campaign, the guy that's currently in charge. Well, he's not really in charge. His handlers are in charge. His campaign is falling apart, okay? Because despite the political persecutions against Trump, he is losing in the polls, and it seems like he has to deal with a woke civil war in his party, on top of the fact that a lot of people, a vast majority of people in this country, are dissatisfied with his job performance, whether that be the economy, the border, foreign conflicts overseas. Biden is simply a sinking ship, okay? That is what his campaign is, and I think stories like this kind of highlight exactly what I'm talking about, okay? As Kamala Harris, who is the VP for Joe Biden, was heckled during the Jimmy Kimmel show live as she was pushing her propaganda, okay? A bunch of lies. There's no need to even go over the lies that Kamala Harris said because it's not important, right? Nobody cares. Nobody really watched it. And it seems as if everywhere that these people go, they're facing massive protests versus when Trump goes somewhere, even somewhere like a San Francisco, a liberal place, he's still getting a whole lot of support, okay? And that's what I want to talk about. But first, I want to go ahead and play this clip of Kamala Harris being heckled at Jimmy Kimmel's show. Take a look.
Stop the genocide! 15,000 children died because of you! Stop the genocide! You're a murderer! 15,000 children died!
She has her phone.
Kamala Harris!
It's good to have you back.
Stop.
All right. Anybody else? If anyone else has anything to say, this is the time.
1.9 million people!
You are a war criminal! The genocide of Palestinian children! You are a war criminal!
No cameras.
Are we,
You're under arrest at the moment, so
Okay.
please let me
For
have your
what?
ID for interfering with a live television broadcast.
I'd like to see the law that says
You,
that.
you don't need to see the law, you need to show me the ID.
Oh, I do.
You're
need to
under
see the
arrest.
law.
That's all you need to know. So
That's
let me
not
have your
how-
ID.
That's not
Are you a
how
police
that works.
officer?
Yes.
Are you a police
Turn
officer?
around. Turn around.
Don't touch
No,
me.
can you?
Where's,
Why can't I have my phone?
Can we see your badge?
Yeah.
I am
I'd like
working
to
at
see your
security
badge.
here,
we have
and
a
it doesn't
real
make any
police officer?
difference. You are under arrest.
It does. We're not under arrest.
Can we?
not.
Yeah.
That's fine. You can believe what you want. I don't care.
Hey,
Give me my
stand
ID.
up, stand up.
Give me my ID.
Let us out! You call us out! Class traitors! Class traitors!
boy, I can never stop laughing at the woke civil war that is happening in this country, okay? These people say you're a class traitor, okay? So they tell you that they're communists, right? This is their communist lingo, okay? Their comrades got arrested for heckling Kamala Harris, which I also think is hilarious as well, too, especially doing Jimmy Kimmel's and Bit show. The fake comedian. Now, the sad part is that people are losing their lives due to a tragic situation, which is not funny, right? Obviously, that's not a laughing matter. But I'm just saying that Democrats having created this monster, okay, that has essentially erupted in their party over what is going on overseas, is the result of them basically emboldening these types of people when it comes to these types of protests and disruptions for the last 4 to 5 and 6 years. So basically, they're dealing with the consequences of something that they encouraged, and they were totally fine with it when it was benefiting them and it was hurting Republicans. But again, my point is that the woke civil war hasn't stopped and is at the point now where Democrats literally get protested wherever they go. It doesn't matter where they go. Even in a deep blue city, like, for example, San Francisco, Kamala Harris is getting protested on both sides of the bay, according to this news clip.
Election season is in full swing with both former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris visiting the Bay Area for some high-profile fundraising events this week. Today, it was Harris's turn ahead of Trump's visit tomorrow. It may not have felt like the warmest homecoming for the vice president. She was greeted by groups of protesters outside events in Oakland and in San Francisco today, all demonstrating against the Biden administration's approach to the war in Gaza. Kenny Choi here with us in studio. So, Kenny, I know you were out there talking to some of those protesters today, right?
Yeah, and Sarah, it was a loud, peaceful protest from what I could see. No clashes with law enforcement. But as the re-election campaign ramps up for Biden and Harris, these calls for a ceasefire aren't subsiding.
From the streets of Oakland, protesting the vice president's visit to her hometown, to San Francisco's Mission District, just a stone's throw away from where Vice President Harris held a fundraising event, pro-Palestinian protesters tried to send a loud and clear message. Laura Kaswani helped spearhead the protest.
All these people coming to fundraise for Vice President Harris would be better suited and better served if they spent their time advocating for this administration to stop funding and arming a genocide.
Hours before Harris's arrival in San Francisco, Democratic fundraisers lined Valencia Street to get into the chapel, a music venue turned political hotspot.
Everybody should do everything they can to try and elect Joe Biden because the alternative is just too dangerous.
We're dangerous. Now, again, notice how these people never make arguments about how Biden's economic policies are better than Trump's, because they can't, right? They can't make any policy-based arguments. The only arguments they can make are arguments out of emotion. Oh, well, Trump dangerous. Trump a threat to democracy. He might overthrow our government, right? This is what they say. Meanwhile, the fascism that they claim they're concerned about is already in the White House. Again, that's what really blows my mind about this. But again, I find it to be hilarious, absolutely hilarious, that the Biden administration, including Kamala Harris, is getting protested in deep blue San Francisco, right? Tons of protesters out here, okay, lining the streets to show that, hey, we're dissatisfied with you, right? Now, let's contrast that to Trump and a rally that was held for him in San Francisco, where there weren't that many people protesting him, but there were a whole lot of people there in support of him.
And right now, the former president is on his way to San Francisco for a fundraiser tonight. And for the last few hours, a couple hundred of his supporters have been rallying near Fort Mason.
And that's where we find NBC Bay Area's Sergio Quintana live there right now. I understand it's really loud. Sergio, if you could tell us what you're seeing.
Seeing and hearing. This has kind of been what's been going on here for the last 3 hours or so. Not only people with the flags, but lots of people coming by in loud vehicles and honking lots of horns. I'll go ahead and step out of the way here so that you can see the group of Trump supporters that are here, probably about a couple hundred of them or so. They are definitely fired up about the former president's visit. Now, this supporter rally was scheduled to begin around 2 p.m., and that's when we saw the largest group here, a little more than a couple hundred people. Now, I've talked with people here from Folsom, San Jose, and Sacramento. When I say this event is loosely organized, I mean that they didn't actually get a permit to rally in the park. So rangers advised them that they couldn't have groups larger than 20 people there, and they can't use amplified PA systems. Now, the result is that the group stayed on the sidewalk, and they've managed to stay pretty energized for most of the afternoon. A lot of the attendees say they're excited to see so many people here.
Basically, we're going to rally everyone around together and show him the huge support that even in San Francisco, a very deep blue state, that we have a lot of support for the former president, and we support what he stands for.
You try to give them facts, they don't care about it. And not everybody, I don't want to categorize anybody here. Sure. There's a lot of great folks over here that this is who they think is their person, and vote for him. That's okay.
Yeah. Now, Cynthia Freiberger is one of 2 Trump opponents who showed up with signs, but we've watched throughout the afternoon as a series of people either walking by or driving by do shout their disapproval of the former president. I watched one resident walking his dog stop and argue with a man wearing a Trump mask for about a half an hour. There's some pretty interesting engagement. Now, you can see right now that the crowd, they are continuing to be organized and energized. They are coming over every once in a while and asking if I know anything about the schedule of the president. I can say that we're trying to figure out exactly when the president is expected to land in San Francisco as well. And this group is hoping that he hears about them and decides to drive by with his motorcade on its way up to the Pacific Heights event, which is scheduled to start at about 6:30.
You know what I love about this, guys? You know what I love about when Trump supporters rally? Is that, at least as far as what I can see here, okay, I don't see a bunch of foreign flags, right? When you see leftist rally, you see a bunch of Ukraine flags, Palestinian flags. You don't see too many American flags, right? But when you see Trump supporters rally, you see nothing but American flags, okay, as far as the eye can see. And that's what I love the most about when Trump supporters come together to support the president. Like, they're doing it because they support America, right? The far leftists that have protested Joe Biden, Democrats, Kamala Harris, they're protesting on behalf of foreign countries, right? And I think that is the difference, okay? The dichotomy between how the Trump campaign is doing versus the Biden campaign, okay? The fact that you see supporters everywhere Trump goes, okay, and not that many protests, but you see protests everywhere Biden or Kamala goes, and not that many supporters. I think it's fascinating, okay? I also think what's fascinating, again, is every time you see Trump supporters come out and rally, it's nothing but American flags, okay? Support for the country, love for the country, nationalism, right? We need to make nationalism cool again, right? We need to make it popular again, okay? I'm so serious, right? It's one of the biggest problems in this country is a lack of nationalism, pride in one's country, okay? Again, we're not a perfect country, and most certainly not today, but what you've heard over the past few days or so covering that story about Byron Donalds' comments is the left admitting that, hey, you know, we made some progress since Jim Crow, right? So much progress that you can't reference back or romanticize about the country doing Jim Crow. I'm not sure if these people realize that they've made a very, very, very strong argument over the past few days for why this country has progressed in some ways positively. Now, I think we progressed too much. Like, let me be specific here. The problem with America today is that we progress too much. We progressing ourselves off of a cliff, okay? And that's the problem. But regardless, Trump is getting a lot of support and gaining a lot of momentum. I told you guys yesterday that he announced an astronomical fundraising amount, $400 million. Now, I'm not necessarily sure if that's entirely true, but I'm pretty sure it's in the ballpark of at least 100 million, right? Maybe 200 million, 300 million, could be 400 million. Who knows? Okay, when all is accounted for. But during his trip to San Francisco, he added another 12 million to the bucket because he raised that in a single visit to the Bay Area.
All right, here comes a fascinating story. Donald Trump picking up money and support from Silicon Valley, of all places. Joining us now, investor and entrepreneur, Mr. David Sachs, co-founder of Craft Ventures. David, thank you for coming on the show. I'm Larry Kudlow. Greetings. I want to read you. This is just a little bit of fun, but I'll get your take. One of our digital stars, Brooke Singman, interviewed Mr. Trump, and the headline read, "Trump touts Silicon Valley support, says tech leaders can't relate to low IQ Biden. I have a high IQ, period," end quote. What you make of that, Mr. David Sachs? Tongue in cheek.
Well, Yeah, there's an old saying, many a true word said in jest. And the president frequently says funny things, but there is a serious point to it. I think there's no comparison between the cognitive abilities of these two men. I mean, I think what we saw last night at our fundraiser for President Trump is that he was very sharp, very on the ball. He stayed for something like 4 hours. He talked to everybody, talked to the whole crowd. Everyone loved him. And then at the same time, you saw Biden at that D-Day event, and it looked like he couldn't keep up with whatever he was supposed to be doing there. So I just think there's no question about which of these men is cognitively sort of more with it and intact.
David, you reportedly raised $12 million, which is a nice piece of change. You can probably do 3 or 4 times as much in the next few months, maybe more. How many people were at your event?
We had something like 100 people there. Right. When we agreed to do this event, we started off, the question was whether we could just raise $5 million. And that was the goal because, as you well know, the Bay Area is sort of a liberal bastion. And so we thought that $5 million might be a big lift. But as it turns out, we got all the way to 12. And, tremendous turnout. We couldn't fit one more seat in the place. We were completely sold out. And I'll tell you, it wasn't just the enthusiasm in the room. It was also the enthusiasm outside the room. So all week, San Francisco publications have been writing about how there are going to be big protests in San Francisco because Trump was coming to town. As it turns out, hundreds of people turned out in the streets, but they were pro-Trump demonstrators and they were welcoming his motorcade. And the number of anti-Trump protesters was just a handful of people. So even with the protesters, there was a tremendous enthusiasm gap between the pro-Trump side and the pro-Biden side. And if that's in liberal San Francisco, what does that tell you about the rest of the country?
Yeah, so let's hope that we can extrapolate some of these anecdotal situations where you have Trump getting massive support, even in liberal areas. San Francisco, New York, New Jersey. It doesn't matter where it is, okay? It seems like the Trump support is at an all-time high in this country. In fact, that's a fact, actually. I mean, Trump has never polled as good as he's polling right now. His support is actually the highest, the strongest that has ever been. Okay, let's hope that we can carry this momentum into the election, okay? Because I've never seen anything like this before. Biden is just dealing with too much. Again, the economy, immigration, the fact that he has a woke civil war to deal with, okay, in which he has his base revolting against him. If his base doesn't show up, he's going to lose, right? He's also losing ground with minorities. The only thing that Biden has going for him, which again is ironic, it just so happens to be the Rust Belt white vote, right? Which, again, I think that Trump can easily change things there if he picks the right VP, 1, and then 2, if he does more campaigning there, if he, pushes stronger, okay, in those areas, then I definitely think that he can gain some momentum there as well. But again, the fact that Trump is getting strong support, a strong show of support, and you don't have that many people that really are showing that much of a dislike for him or protest him, even in deep blue areas, again, says a whole lot about whether or not the anti-Trump vote is motivated to actually get out there and to vote against him, right? Which I guess you can argue is part of the reason why Biden was selected in 2020 is just because of the anti-Trump vote, right? The Trump deranged left and progressive showing out to vote because they were brainwashed by, this idea that, well, the pandemic, all of it is Trump's fault, right? Which was not the case, okay? People know that. I think people have gotten smarter. I think people have gotten wiser, hopefully. And I'm just hoping that, again, this momentum continues to grow, again, because it looks like the polls are moving in Trump's direction post-conviction. At the very least, things haven't gotten worse. He's raised a lot of money, and some polls are even suggesting that things have gotten better, okay? So, again, it's nothing but good news here for Trump moving forward, and I'm hoping that it remains that way. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.